Please be seated. The court is now back in session. And before the chamber hands the floor to Counsel Kung Samon, could Counsel Kung Samon indicate to the chamber as much time you anticipate to conclude your questioning, as we need to make the arrangement for the bus and for the transportation as well. It's Friday today. Counsel Kung Samon. Thank you, Mr. President. I hope I can conclude before 4, and maybe I only need 20 to 25 more minutes. President, thank you. And again, good afternoon, Mr. Ahern. Are you ready to continue? Answer, yes, I am. President, then you, Counsel Kung Samon, you may proceed. Kung Samon, thank you, Mr. President and Mr. Ahern. Before the break, we discussed the issue of circling the name in blue or in red ink. And I'd like to read to you an extract from your interview in document E319.1.32, question answer 44. Question, and let me quote: when you stayed in Tramkot district, did you ever see any documents regarding sweeping clean enemies? Answer 44, no. End of quote. Mr. Witness, do you confirm that statement? Answer. It is unclear to me. Could you please repeat your question? Counsel, no problem. Allow me to quote again. Question. When you stayed in Tramkot district, did you ever see any documents regarding sweeping clean enemies? And your answer, 44, no. End of quote. This is a question which was put to you by the LCIJ investigator during your interview. Do you recall the extracts that I just read it out to you? Answer, yes, I do, but I did not see any of that document. That is document on the sweeping clean of the enemies. These kind of documents were considered confidential. Counsel, thank you. In the same document, at question answer 40, and allow me to quote, question, did you ever see the plan to kill Vietnamese nationals in written form? Answer 40. In October 1978, I saw a document about the plan to kill Vietnamese nationals. Question, did the document mention the sweeping clean of Vietnamese nationals? Answer 41, yes. Initially, Tachim put me to work in a warehouse. Since the warehouse was empty, I returned to tap rubber instead. One day, I wanted to smoke a cigarette, and I went to look for paper in the rubbish bin to roll a cigarette. Then I saw that document. And Tachim said, if you want to smoke a cigarette, go ahead and smoke, but do not read that. Having heard that, I sneaked out to read the paper right away. Written in the document was, "Comrade, sweep the enemies completely clean, urgently, because there are lots of enemies in the cooperatives. from Comrade King, Office 870 Committee. End of quote. You were asked a question on this matter by Judge Lavange, and I'd like to put another set of questions to you. First of all, do you recall the statement that you made? Answer. I read it, I saw it. It was not a document, a proper document. It was a handwritten letter, and there were only a few lines. And I did not know who put it in that rubbish bin. It could be an anonymous letter. And yes, the content was there, that there was instructions to sweep cleanse the enemy urgently, because there were a lot of enemies in the cooperatives and in the unions. And the person who signed was Comrade King from Office 870 Committee. Thank you. Question. Can you elaborate a little bit further on the form of the letter? Was it handwritten or was it typed? Answer, it was handwritten, and it was a bad handwriting. I found it difficult to read, so I asked the greffier to help me to read it, and he read out the same thing that I understood. Question, how was it written? On, for example, on what piece of paper? Answer, it was on a piece of paper about the size of my palm. Question, what kind of paper was it? Was it from a notebook, or what was it? Answer, I cannot recall it. I did not spend time to examine what kind of paper it was. Thank you. Question. I'd like to move to another topic, that is the marriage. You have testified quite a lot on this topic, and I'd like to touch upon it by quoting a reference from J. Boon's testimony on the 4th May 2015. Kham Boon testified before this court. And on the transcript, it was at 09 o'clock, 52 minutes and 52 seconds, and I read the quote from the transcript. And Mr. Ai Hyun, please listen, and I will put a question to you after I read out the extract from this transcript. Do you understand the process, Mr. Ai Hyun? Again, Mr. Ai Hyun, can you hear me? Ai Hyun, it is difficult to hear you, counsel. I just informed you that I will read out the testimony of Boon, who testified before this court last week, and after that I will put the questions to you. And allow me to quote. Question. What kind of re-education? Can you elaborate a bit further? Answer, yes, we had to re-educate the new people, and the same thing applied to the old people, in order to avoid the conflicts between these two people, as they did not know each other yet, and the new people had just arrived and the old people had been there. And a few lines later, she continued, the upper echelon did not instruct us to allow the marriage of the new people with the old people, as the new people had just arrived and that they did not know each other yet and that they did not trust each other yet. And that is the truth. End of quote. Free translation. Mr. Ahern, have you heard the extracts that I just read out? Answer: yes. I did not hear any mentioning about the prohibition of the marriage between old and new people. But in the communes where I was, anyone could marry anyone if it was consented, regardless whether they were old or new people. And of course, if anyone had a conflict, the person would be sanctioned to carry earth. Thank you. Question. And in your village and commune, were there any couples that one of them was old or best person? Answer: in my villages and a commune, there were no new people, and one of the village was known as a model village. Question: can you confirm that there were no new people living in your commune? Answer: yes. Question: and can you tell the reason that no new people were sent to settle in your commune? Answer: because the village was considered a model village, and there were no new people living in that village. They did not come to that village. Question: did you know about the marriages celebrated under the period of Democratic Cambodia, and it was between the old people and the best people, to your knowledge? Answer: no, I did not know about that. And I did not know much about the marriages. If they got married, they got married in their respective villages or commune. Question: and let me confirm, you just stated that you never attended any marriage ceremony during the period of Democratic Cambodia. Am I correct? Answer: yes, that is correct. I came to live in Chuk. I saw a marriage celebration of 400 couples, and that happened in September 1978. Council interrupts. Mr. Aichun, I'd like to ask you about the event in Tramkot district. Do you have any knowledge about the marriages that took place in Tramkot district? Answer: no, I did not. I never attended any marriage ceremony. Question: do you have any information about any forced marriage at your location? Answer: only the persons who were interested in a partner, the person would have to make a proposal to Angkar at the district level. And once there were enough proposals, then the Angkai, the district, would organize the marriage. Council interrupts. Mr. Aihyun, you do not need to mention about any example of a marriage or event that happened after 1979. We are interested for in the events that took place before 1979. And Mr. Aihyun, let me move on to another issue that is in relation to Mr. Pichim. Who is your elder in-law, brother-in-law? Is that correct? Answer: yes, that is correct. But in fact, he divorced his wife in July 1980, and he remarried another woman. So he and I seem to be distant. Counsel, can you tell the court when did you get to know Pichim? Witness, please repeat your question. Question: when did you first get to know Pichim? Answer: we were living in the same village, and we all knew about our relatives, about the parents or the grandparents or the great-grandparents. Thank you. Question: do you know when Pichim left Tramkot district for Kampong Cham province? Answer: it was in March 1977. He went to the North Zone to take charge of a rubber plantation, and in August 1978 he went to take charge of a factory. But the factory was also part of the rubber plantation management. Counsel, thank you. And when you left Tramkot to the rubber plantation in Kampong Cham, had Pichim arrived before your arrival, and did you meet him there? Answer: I arrived at 5 in the morning, and I saw him there at the Chup rubber plantation. He was transferred from Chamkadong to the Chup plantation. Question: so when you arrived at the rubber plantation, you met Pichim on the first day of your arrival, is that correct? Answer: yes. Because in the morning there was a meeting to organize the forces that had just arrived, and I was not appointed to engage in any specific task. Thank you. Question: during the period of Democratic Cambodia regime, did you have any conflict or argument with Pichim? Answer: no, I did not. I had to please him since he was a teacher, and later on he was a district secretary, etc. Thank you. Question: and later on, do you have any personal conflict with the Pichim? Answer: it's a long story. In 1979, when the Vietnamese troops arrived, we fled to the forest together, and by 1980, that is in January 1980, he called me to a meeting. Then I was set a plan to clear a forest for a plantation, and I said that we could not clear the forest as the Vietnamese would hear the noise from the falling trees. And then he shouted at me. And he said that that's the reason I didn't want you to call you to come along. And he was very angry at me, but I didn't notice that. And when I returned to my place, the three young men came, and they were weeping. And I asked why they were weeping, and then they said that he instructed them to come and kill me, but they did not want to kill me. So then at night time, we fled through the rubber plantation, and then Tachim sent a unit from the Center Army with a grenade launcher to come and locate me. I was asked a question what I did in Kampong Thom, and I said I did not do anything much, and we didn't have much food to eat, as we only ate leaves and fish, as the Vietnamese troops were somewhere around. And at that time, those soldiers, they had some AK-47 rifles and a grenade launcher on his shoulder. But I was not afraid of them at the time. And that's what happened. And later on, we went up the Dong Raya mountain in July 1980, and I was asked to work, and I refused, and then I was accused of being a deserter. And Jim said that we were fighting the enemy, and the enemy was everywhere in the country. Council interrupts. Thank you, Mr. Ahern. Sorry for my interruption, and I think I get your point. And allow me to ask another question. During the period of Democratic Cambodia regime, that you always respected and followed the instruction of Pechum, and only after 1979 you had conflicts with him. My question to you is the following. What were the cause of your upset with Pechum, and that you wanted to kill one another? What was actually the main point or the main reason for that? Answer: yes, I can. First, as I said, he called me to a meeting to clear a forest, and I said we could not do it as the noise would be heard over by the Vietnamese troops nearby. And then he was angry and he shouted it to me in a strong voice. Then he sent a young man to kill me, but then they didn't dare to do it. Then I fled through a rubber plantation, and that was the conflict that he sent people to kill me. Council interrupt. You talk about the Chumkadong and the rubber plantation. Where was the location? Answer: it was at Steng Trong in Kampong Cham province. Question: what year was it? Answer: he threatened me, and that happened in January 1980. And then I fled to the Chuk plantation in February. Question: besides your personal conflict between you and Chim when he asked you to clear a forest, and let you put that aside, And when you refer to his character during the period of democratic Cambodia, what can you say in his capacity as a Khmer Rouge cadre? Answer. When he was in the district, he was all right. He didn't get angry with anyone, and sufficient food was provided by him, but later on he became angry at me. Question. Now, are you still upset with him? Answer. At the time that he sent people to kill me, I was very angry, but now I don't feel the anger anymore. Question. Do you maintain any relationship with him? Answer. One day he came to a ceremony at his nephew's house, and he came to my house and he spoke to me and asked me whether I would go to Phnom Penh or not, and he was accusing me of telling the people in Phnom Penh that he was the deputy chief of the district, and he asked me what did he do wrong that he was accused of being deputy chief of the district. And he spoke about that. Counsel, I don't really get your answer. When you said deputy chief of the district, whom did you mean? Answer, I refer to that Jim when that Jim asked me whether I had been to Phnom Penh. And I said I went to Phnom Penh with some foreigners, and I was told about his position as a deputy chief, and I was told about that. Question was put to me about that child, about him, etc. in relation to their position during the democratic Cambodia period. Counsel, thank you. Did you have really intense argument when you met him last during that time? Answer, no, that's what I said. And he said that I was his relative, and that he did not mention any position that I held during the period of democratic Cambodia. That's what he said. And it was kind of casual after that. Thank you, Mr. Ai Hyun and Mr. President. I don't have any further question for this witness. President, our proceedings today come to a conclusion a bit earlier, as there is no reserved witness for today. So the chamber will adjourn it now and resumed on the Monday the 18th May 2015, commencing from 9 o'clock in the morning. On Monday the 18th, the chamber will hear testimony of a witness through TCW 986. This information is for the parties and the public. Mr. Ai Hyun, the chamber is grateful of your testimony via video link. As a witness during the last 2 days, and your testimony may contribute to ascertaining the truth in this case. And your testimony now comes to a conclusion, and you may rest. And we wish you good health and all the best. Do you hear us, Mr. Hyun? Witness, yes. You may not be excused. Witness, I wish you, Mr. President, all the happiness and prosperity. President, thank you. And security personnel, you are instructed to take the two accused back to the detention facilities and have them return to attend to the proceedings. On the morning of Monday 18 May 2015 before 9 o'clock. The court is now adjourned.